sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine.
Absolutely no reason for a 56-year-old man, 54-year-old man at the time, to be hollering at a 19-year-old.
When you build your brand on being unapologetically real, the fall from grace doesn't just hurt, it explodes. In a scandal that's sending shockwaves through morning radio, sports talk, and social media feeds, NFL legend and media powerhouse Shannon Sharpe now faces a $50 million civil lawsuit, an accusation that, true or not, threatens to rewrite decades of hard-earned credibility. But what's really happening behind the scenes, and how much of Shannon's empire is already crumbling? Before he even steps into a courtroom, hold tight. Because the deeper you dig into this story, the uglier and more complicated it gets. It started with a voice millions trust. When Charlamagne Tha God cracked the mic open on The Breakfast Club, the vibe was different, heavier, sharper. Fresh civil court filings had just dropped, accusing Shannon Sharpe of serious misconduct with a woman who's now demanding an eye-watering $50 million in damages. Charlamagne didn't waste words. He laid it out raw. If you're 54, what business do you have getting tangled up with a 19-year-old? Especially when your entire image is built on discipline, stability, and mentorship. Radio stations across the country lit up like wildfire. Listeners were stunned. The same Shannon who preaches hard work and self-respect, now tangled in a lawsuit that could obliterate everything he's built. But the filings were just the beginning, and the details, even messier than anyone imagined. According to civil documents filed in Nevada, the allegations against Sharpe paint a disturbing picture. The woman claims Shannon's misconduct wasn't an isolated incident. It allegedly happened multiple times over the course of their 2-year relationship. She describes the encounters as aggressive and brutal, escalating beyond anything she ever consented to. The timing made everything even worse. Because although she's 22 now, the plaintiff was just 19 when the alleged relationship began. Something Charlamagne pointed out with disgust, and that wasn't all. Text messages, videos, and audio recordings supposedly exist. Receipts? The kind that can turn public opinion before a single gavel drops. Even more alarming? There's evidence that both sides tried to mediate before this ever hit public. Court filings, leading many to wonder if Shannon's so innocent, why entertain a settlement at all? And yet, behind the headlines, another storm was already brewing. In today's media landscape, your real boss isn't your network, it's your sponsors. And they don't wait for verdicts, they react to vibes. Modern endorsement contracts often contain something called moral turpitude clauses. That's just fancy legal talk for, if you get messy enough to trend for the wrong reasons, we can bounce, no questions asked. Charlamagne warned it straight. The moment brands even smell a scandal, their legal teams slam the panic button. Agencies begin pausing ad buys. PR execs start deleting photos. And that sponsorship cash you spent decades building, it vanishes. Faster than a tweet during a network outage. Already, major brands linked to Shannon's shows are rumored to be re-evaluating partnerships. Because once you're in the headlines for alleged assault, no number of touchdowns can save you. Here's the real nightmare for Shannon: discovery. In civil cases, both sides get access to everything. Emails, text threads, location pings, audio clips, deleted DMs. And in 2025, your digital trail can either save you or bury you alive. Even worse, civil cases don't require beyond reasonable doubt like criminal cases do. The bar is much lower. 51% likelihood is enough to hit you with a multi-million-dollar judgment. And leaks during discovery? Yeah, they leak faster than a sieve. If even one damning clip message or photo drops, it won't just be his wallet bleeding. It'll be his reputation permanently. Charlamagne said it best. In today's world, algorithms sprint faster than subpoenas. If Shannon thought legal filings were his biggest problem, he underestimated the court of public opinion. Memes exploded. TikTok clips sliced up radio commentary into viral 15-second sound bites. Half the internet crowned him guilty before a single day in court. But not everyone was piling on. Sharpe's hardcore fans pushed back, highlighting his years of charity work, mentorship programs, and his realness as a media figure. The backlash became a full-blown culture war: loyalty versus outrage, hope versus cynicism. And just like that, Shannon Sharpe wasn't just fighting a lawsuit. He was fighting for narrative control and losing ground by the hour. Inside TV network boardrooms and podcast studios, the panic was palpable. Executives reportedly held emergency Zoom meetings at midnight, poring over sponsorship spreadsheets and sentiment graphs. Red flags spiked next to Shannon's name like flashing alarms. The rumors? Temporary suspension, moving him quietly to backup podcast duties, anything to slow the bleeding, without making it look like an official firing. And it wasn't just networks. Major advertisers, beverage brands, athletic apparel, tech companies started pausing all future campaigns tied to his shows. Because when there's even a chance of scandal, sponsors don't gamble. They vanish. So, what's next? Sources say both sides had already engaged in settlement talks long before this blew up, which is both normal and damning. If Shannon cuts a check, critics will scream, "Hush, money." If he refuses and drags this out, he risks discovery bleeding him dry in public. It's a lose-lose. Charlamagne drew chilling parallels. Other celebrities who paid settlements early and still watched their reputations evaporate, because perception moves faster than facts. And make no mistake, even if Shannon wins legally, in the public's mind, he might already have lost. Discovery deadlines are looming. Motion practice will follow. Depositions could stretch 6 months or longer. And the longer this drags, the more the risk of leaked emails, videos, texts, little things that spiral into big headlines. Shannon's options: pivot fully independent, move to a subscription model where he controls his own narrative, or shift into advocacy, using his platform to fight broader issues facing athletes post-scandal. But one thing is crystal clear. The next 6 months will decide whether Shannon Sharpe remains a media powerhouse or becomes another cautionary tale in the brutal world of celebrity downfall. We live in an era where headlines hit harder than facts, where social media convicts you before juries get a chance, and where one bad moment, real or alleged, can torch a lifetime of work overnight. Shannon Sharpe's story isn't just about fame or lawsuits. It's about how fragile success becomes when the world watches your every move. Because once trust is broken, rebuilding it isn't just hard, it's almost impossible. And in the end, it might not even matter if Shannon wins in court. Because sometimes, in the world of viral scandals, the only court that counts is the court of public opinion. So where does it all go from here? Only time and the courts will tell. But one thing's for sure, the line between fame and fallout has never been thinner. If you want to stay updated as this story unfolds, hit subscribe, because we're not just chasing headlines. We're breaking down what they really mean. Thanks for watching. Let's see what happens next. Before the headlines, before the suits and sponsors, Shannon Sharpe was a symbol of the American underdog dream. Born in rural Georgia, raised in a household where meals were sometimes uncertain, Sharpe used football not just as a sport, but as an escape. His story, often retold with grit and pride, was one of self-discipline and sheer force of will. He didn't just talk about hard work, he lived it. That's part of why this scandal feels like a betrayal to so many. The man who preached structure and respect now finds himself accused of violating the very boundaries he once claimed to protect. By the time he retired from the NFL, Shannon had already transitioned into a new kind of stardom, one built on authenticity. His raw takes, no-nonsense personality, and refusal to code switch made him not just a commentator, but a cultural icon. He wasn't just at the desk, he was shaping the conversation. That power became a double-edged sword. Because when someone that visible falls, the internet doesn't just notice, it celebrates. Behind the scenes, publicists scrambled. Network lawyers, PR advisors, and risk teams met behind closed doors to ask one question: how much damage control was possible? Quietly, media training schedules were paused, scheduled guest appearances were canceled under the radar. Insurance, policies, yes, celebrity brands often come with their own insurance, were evaluated for payout scenarios. Shannon Sharpe, the man, had become Shannon Sharpe, the liability. Social platforms weren't any kinder. YouTubers spun 20-minute takedowns within hours. Reddit threads reached thousands of comments dissecting not just the case, but Shannon's past interviews, friendships, and throwaway comments from years ago. People dug up old footage, trying to find anything that could be reinterpreted in a darker light. That's the internet today. Archive hunting turned into a blood sport. Crisis consultants stepped in, ones who usually operate in silence. Their goal? Slow the algorithm. Smother the fire without feeding it more oxygen. But even they struggled, because the playbook for a viral character assassination has changed. It's no longer about controlling the message. It's about surviving the flood. And while the legal team was preparing motions, Shannon was dealing with another beast: mental and emotional fallout. Because when the accusations go public, it's not just your name on the line. It's your legacy, your family, your past, and your future. Every brand partner becomes a potential traitor. Every friend becomes a potential source. Every conversation you've ever had, online or off, is now a possible exhibit. Meanwhile, his accuser's legal team, led by none other than Tony Busby, a name already infamous in celebrity scandal circles, was playing hardball. Media-savvy and ruthlessly strategic, Busby knew exactly how to drop details to the press without crossing legal lines. Headlines were no accident. They were chess moves. But perhaps the most dangerous part of this entire situation is the timing. Shannon Sharpe isn't just a sports figure, he's a cultural figure. And in the age of cancel culture, TikTok timelines, and AI-enhanced smear campaigns, reputations don't die slowly. They're erased overnight. Shannon's case isn't unfolding in isolation either. It's part of a pattern, one that includes athletes, musicians, and influencers who rose on relatability but crashed on controversy. We've seen it with figures from Kanye to Johnny Depp, each one reminding us that fame without fail-safes is just one tweet away from tragedy. So what's the end game here? If Shannon manages to clear his name, will the media give him the same energy they used to bury him? History says no. And if the case quietly settles, expect whispers of guilt to linger for years. Because in this climate, silence is often mistaken for confession. Sponsors know this too. That's why many are already ghosting. Internal memos leaked from advertising firms show terms like reputational risk ceiling and public controversy. Thresholds. In plain terms, if your name is even close to a trending scandal, you're out. Family-friendly image, gone. Endorsement deals, vanished. No matter what the court decides, the brand machine has moved on. But there's still a wild card: Shannon's voice. As of now, he still has platforms. He still has fans. If he leans into transparency, breaks the silence with receipts of his own, and reclaims the narrative, he might stand a chance. Not just legally, but publicly. Because while we live in an era of digital trials, we also live in an era of redemption arcs. We've seen celebrities claw their way back with authenticity and accountability, but it requires vulnerability. It requires a willingness to address the allegations head-on, not just through lawyers, but with the audience that once believed in you. So if Shannon's going to survive this storm, it won't be through silence. It'll be through story, the one he chooses to tell, publicly, powerfully, and without PR filters. And that story might just determine everything. Let's talk about what happens when the public turns on you, because this isn't new. We've seen it play out over and over again, just with different names and headlines. From Tiger Woods to Lance Armstrong, from R. Kelly to Kevin Hart, the rules of celebrity damage have changed. And while not all these cases are morally equivalent, the aftermath always follows a similar rhythm: shock, speculation, memes, boycott threats, and eventually, silence. The difference is who survives the silence and who disappears in it. Some manage to pivot. Kevin Hart, for example, weathered old controversial tweets and slowly built his brand back up, not by ignoring it, but by leaning into the public fallout, offering transparency and humility. Others, like R. Kelly, had no escape once evidence was indisputable. Shannon Sharpe sits somewhere between. His legacy still powerful, but his public image now sitting on a razor's edge. Part of that is because Shannon was never just a TV personality. He was a cultural litmus test. His appeal wasn't rooted in neutrality. It was rooted in boldness. He clashed with co-hosts, stood on strong opinions, and often called out systems bigger than sports. That kind of platform breeds loyalty, but it also breeds scrutiny. And once the public has questions, the media rarely waits for answers. Networks are terrified of that tension because they know audiences today don't just want analysis, they want accountability. And if a network appears to protect someone accused of serious wrongdoing, backlash spreads beyond the individual. Executives lose jobs, ad revenue drops, live stream numbers plummet. It's not just reputational, it's financial. Even Shannon's own co-hosts have to walk a tightrope. Publicly, they might stay silent, but behind the scenes, producers have contingency plans. Who steps in if Shannon can't return? How do they reformat the show? Do they keep the branding or do a quiet rebrand and move on? These questions aren't just hypothetical, they're boardroom agendas. Meanwhile, fans wrestle with their own confusion. Do they still quote Shannon's motivational clips, share his memes, defend him in comment sections, or do they wait for more information, risking being labeled as enablers if things turn out worse? The most fascinating part of all this, the timeline. Because scandals like this don't burn hot forever. They burn fast and then go cold. And it's in that quiet stretch, the in-between zone, where long-term consequences get decided. If Shannon disappears too long, he risks fading out completely. If he comes back too soon, he risks inflaming everything all over again. There's also the larger cultural question. When do we allow public figures a path forward? What does redemption really look like? Is it time-based, action-based, or simply a matter of new content burying the old? In Shannon's case, those answers haven't surfaced yet. But his next few moves will speak volumes. From a legal perspective, this is where things get even more high stakes. Discovery isn't just about evidence, it's about leverage. If either side uncovers materials damaging enough, it shifts the power dynamic. A single leaked message or unreleased recording could tip the scales, especially in a civil trial where perception matters as much as proof. That's why lawyers often work as much in media strategy as they do in courtrooms. And let's not forget the human cost. Shannon Sharpe isn't just a name on a lawsuit, he's a person with family, colleagues, mentees, and fans. His every move now comes with scrutiny. And even if he's never found legally liable, the stain might never wash off. That's the burden of being a public figure in the viral age. The higher your pedestal, the longer the fall. But in all this chaos, there's also a strange clarity, a chance for Sharpe and others watching to reassess how fame, brand, and accountability intersect. Because when the spotlight shifts from applause to interrogation, what's left is character, and how he handles this moment could either redefine him or erase him from the very story he helped build. So, where does this all land? It's too soon to say. But one thing is clear, the old rules are gone. Public figures can't rely on silence, settlements, or spin anymore. The public wants truth, or at least the effort to reach it. And in Shannon Sharpe's case, how that effort unfolds will decide not just his career, but his legacy. So, what does a comeback even look like for Shannon Sharpe? For starters, it means recognizing the landscape has changed. If Sharpe returns, it can't be business as usual. The first words out of his mouth can't be defensive. They have to be reflective. People want to hear ownership, even if he denies the allegations. They want to know what he's learned, how he's grown, and how this moment has reshaped him. He'll need to address the scandal on his own terms, but through the lens of public empathy. No PR-crafted statement, no carefully worded legal scripts. It has to feel human, because what audiences crave in moments like this isn't perfection, it's sincerity. And if Shannon can tap into that, if he can be vulnerable and still stand tall, he might not just recover, he might emerge stronger. But that requires more than a podcast episode or a tweet. It means shifting his brand from dominance to depth, from the guy with the strongest opinions to the guy with the most honest questions. From suit and tie bravado to hoodie and heart transparency, Sharpe also has a unique opportunity to expand his influence beyond sports commentary. He could become a voice for athletes navigating the post-fame media minefield. He could consult, educate, mentor, show others how to survive the spotlight without losing themselves in it. His fall could become someone else's warning. His recovery, someone else's blueprint. Still, the clock is ticking. Public memory is short, but public judgment is long. The internet never forgets, even if it does eventually move on. And right now, Shannon is in that silent space where every move matters. Too fast, and he looks like he's dodging. Too slow, and he fades out of relevance. It's a delicate dance with no perfect rhythm. But here's the twist. Shannon Sharpe was built for pressure. He's faced loss, poverty, failure, and turned it all into fuel. The question is, can he do it one more time? Not on the field, but in the culture. Not with touchdowns, but with truth. Because when the dust settles and the headlines quiet down, people won't remember every detail of the case. They'll remember how he responded. Did he hide, or did he show up? Did he pass the blame, or did he speak with purpose? In the end, this isn't just about allegations or lawsuits. It's about redemption in an age that rarely offers second chances. But maybe, just maybe, if Sharpe leans into the storm instead of running from it, he'll find his way back, and if he does, he won't just be remembered as a legend who got caught up in controversy. He'll be remembered as a man who faced the fire and came out sharper than ever. So, where does it all go from here? Only time and the courts will tell. But one thing's for sure, the line between fame and fall